start recording again, so everyone can watch it back. Some people text me that would be really late in their country, so I can imagine they're not live here. We're way below the 100 participants we can have, so I'm not going to start the WhatsApp call session yet. It's just a backup option. Oh, nice to see you. I'm going to share my screen with you. You still can't see it, I suppose. But you probably can now. Yes, good. Ah, nice. Some familiar faces. So great to have you here on a Saturday evening, well, at least in Holland's evening, to start learning Java. 200 people signed up, so you're not alone for this 3-month track. You can really rely on some support of your peers that are all around you here. So let's learn Java. So how are we going to do this? Well, I already showed you some topics that we're going to cover in the email. There will be 14 weeks, so that's roughly 3 months. And 3 months from now, you have a really good, solid knowledge of Java. So we actually start with the ultimate basic things of the language. So today we'll start with classes already, objects, packages, and class members. The next week we'll go over the class members in more detail. We'll see enums, we'll see arrays, methods, we'll see all the basic principles of object-oriented programming. We'll see constructors, we'll cover all the modifiers that are necessary for the first exam at least. And we'll also focus on exceptions, all the generics, collections. We'll do a lot. And then near the end of these 3 months, we'll actually start focusing on exam preparation. And I saw in the chat just now that some of you bought the book already. So that's really cool. I think quite some of you know me already, but my name is Maaike. You can pronounce it whatever, I don't really mind. I'm a Java developer and a trainer. And well, that's pretty much what I spend most of my time doing. I would like to ask you to ask questions in the chat, and preferably, oh, I see the chat is blinking really quickly now. Not only private questions, please just put them in there. Okay. Yes. So if there's any questions, please put them in the chat and I'll try to answer them. I got quite some questions via the email already, and I may or may not have answered all of those. I think I covered most already. But this is what we're going to do. And it is a lot, but we have 3 months, so we can do a lot in 3 months, clearly. I expect that it will cost you around 4 hours a week, maybe 8, but not a lot more than that. So we're just putting in 4 to 8 hours a week. In 3 months from now, you'll have a good understanding of Java. Good question, is it for 11 or 8? Well, for the larger part, it's actually for both. So we won't be really doing things that are not in 11, but we are not covering some things that are in 11 that are not in 8. So at least I'm not going to tell you anything that's outdated. But there might be some newer effects that I'm leaving out. So that's the main difference here. Because as most of you got, I think that Oracle decided to skip the beginner exam for 11. So this is why we are focusing on 8. And yes, so multi-threading or files. Well, files will actually cover in the 10th week, but multi-threading we won't really cover. It's part of the next part of the exam. But feel free to dive into it whenever you like. So yes, the first 12 weeks we'll be focusing on basics Java, and the last 2 weeks we'll be focusing on the exam. That's going to be the content of the course. So question, What can you do with Java? Who knows? I mean, you're all here. Who knows what we can actually do with Java? Why are we doing it? Why are we here? Finding a job and getting privately. Yes, sure. Web application. Yes. And what part of the web application? Yes, create web applications, people are telling me. Yes, the backend parts. To invent new things. Yes, that's the idea. No, but mainly the backend parts, what we're going to focus on. Clearly, you can do more with Java, but nowadays Java is mainly used for the backend, and this is what we will be focusing on. Well, what is backend, you may wonder? Backend is the logic layer and of an application. So when you're having a web application, and you're looking at this website, what you are seeing, this is what we call front end. But what is happening beneath the surface on some external servers, not on your computer, in case of web application, this is the backend, and this is actually what you can do with Java. So yes, so someone is already saying identification, access management. So really these things that are not really related to what you see on the screen, but more on how it's working. Those are the things that you can actually do with Java. So that means that unfortunately we'll be not doing very cool visual stuff this course, but we will really be focusing on making a good data model. And we'll be focusing on writing logic, so more things like that. Is that clear? So let me know in the chat if you have questions. Yes, good. So this is why we want to learn Java. And Daniela is asking, what is the difference between HTML and Java? Well, HTML is one of these languages that you use for the front end, so to put items on a web page. And Java is running on the server. So for example, arranging some security issues. So GDBC and G2EE, they are not for this course. GDBC is for the second part, OSP. And so the advanced Java part, is not part of this course. We are really focusing on a beginner level Java. So that's a really good question, actually. Maybe, though, that you guys are so enthusiastic that you'll just move on after this course together. That would be really cool. And I'm not sure if I pronounce this right, but Louis Angel, Marcia, you are asking whether we will be having a graphic application to apply to our backends. Well, it's not my plan, but that doesn't mean that you guys can do that yourself. So if someone has the skills and he can make some very pretty front end, clearly feel free to do that and connect it with the backend that you'll write in this course. Yes, Java FX is it's pretty easy, but it's not super useful. YAR files, yes, maybe at some point. Remind me later. I can't process this now, sorry. So that is about what will be covered in this course. So we will really focus on Java from beginner to solid basic level, right? Good. Let's see. So how are we going to do this? Oh, that's a bit enthusiastic. Okay, so this slide doesn't go. So how are we going to do this? Well, we will have a weekly session like this. And in this session today, I'm doing this kickoff, so we'll have a bit of an introduction and I'll already show you the first topics, but I will also explain the more practical aspects of this course as about where to find materials and how to ask questions, because clearly it can happen that you get stuck. And also how you can use this study group and what is the bigger idea behind this. So every Saturday at this time, there will be a Zoom session. And in that session, I will be dealing with questions that many of you had, and I will also be showing the solution to the homework. So every week you get some homework, do some coding, and I'll just show an example solution during this session. And if there's very many people who are stuck at a certain topic, clearly we can cover it. But hopefully we can do it before we get to the session though. Yes, and all these sessions, they will be recorded and uploaded to the YouTube channel. Let's see. So how to get the materials? Well, clearly there are so many materials out there already, and I'm not going to make all new materials. I am going to make short videos about each topic though, but I will also refer to external materials like other videos or blogs or websites or online exercises or GitHub repositories that I found that are a good example. So you will be using a lot of external materials that are out there as well. And every week, beneath the videos of that week, I will be posting a link to my website where you can find all the materials that I'm suggesting for that specific week. So what if you get stuck? Well, clearly, I'm going to be super busy if everybody's going to send me a WhatsApp message privately, and I don't want that. So I was thinking really hard what could be a nice system, and I figured it's the nicest if you just put it below the YouTube video about that topic, because then all your colleague students can see it too. And if they have the same question, they can just like yours. And if I see a question as many likes, that will mean that that's a very difficult topic. Well, you can all see these questions. So if you know an answer, please answer this question. If I see that questions remain unanswered, I'll just do my best and answer as many of them as possible too. But it would be really nice to have all of you to help answering the question and help each other to get further. So Fina is suggesting to have a Discord chat room. Yes, please, if you'd like that better than WhatsApp, be my guest and set it up. I'm just going to facilitate WhatsApp and YouTube. But that actually brings me to my next point. There's 200 of you, which is a lot. And I can imagine that it would be nice for you to have a bit of a smaller group. So I would really like to encourage you to try to find a small group of, I don't know, 10 to 15 people that you can really go to. If you have any questions, maybe you can just split up. Probably some of you know each other already. I know some of you are working at the same company. So if you can just group together with a few people, you have some direct access point to ask questions to. Yeah, so I see a lot of app suggestions, and this is why I didn't choose anyone, because I mean, we all have to download something and there is not one right choice, I guess. So if you would like to have a Discord room, Telegram room, or whatever app I don't know about room, go ahead, organize it, go there. If you have any questions, I'm on WhatsApp and I'm on YouTube. Dominique is asking, are the people from Holland? Yes, there are. I'm from Holland, but I know quite some people here are from Holland. So you guys can make your own whatever Discord, WhatsApp group, whatever you prefer. Oh, I lost your videos. That's a pity. Good. Are there any questions about this working process that I'm proposing? Everybody's telling who's from where. Oh, this is nice. We have people from Holland, from India, The Hague, Paris. Yeah, it's nice. I know we have people from Colombia, Canada, India, US. Nice. I'm not going to check every homework. No, I would love to, but I only have 24 hours in a day. Let's see, where are your videos? Oh, they're here. Good. So what I will do, I will send out an example of what's a good homework assignment, but it's not like it's the one big truth. There can be more answers, right? If you get really stuck, first ask each other. If you have more general questions, then come to me. Wow, Nicaragua, this is really cool. It's almost 12 in India. Nice. Great to have you all here. It's really cool because we're all from all over the world, all in this Java course together. Are there any practical questions about how we're going to do this together? Peru, Romania, it's really cool. So what are we going to do this week? We are going to set up our environment. We're not going to do this right now. There will be videos on how to do this. It's pretty much a two-step thing. So we'll first install Java, and I'm using the Oracle in my examples, but you can also use OpenJDK or whatever you prefer. If you know how to do it, or you know someone who knows how to do it, go ahead. And I'm just using the latest version of Java, so I'm not going to download 8 or something. We'll just use the latest one. The things you want to do will still work. And then we are going to install IntelliJ, and IntelliJ is the editor in which we're going to write our code. I really like IntelliJ. Eclipse is also fine with me. I don't use any other ones, but if you really want to, go ahead. There's not really a wrong or right here, even though I think IntelliJ is your best choice. And we'll use the free version of IntelliJ, the community edition. It's good enough. Okay, then questions. How much time we'll be devoting this week to the course? I think we'll be using 4 to 8 hours, and Eclipse is fine with me too, Suhas. Yes. So 4 to 8 hours, I guess. So first this week, set up the environment. And then once we've done that, we can actually go ahead and use IntelliJ and create a Java project. And a good question. This session is 1 hour. Someone is asking to use Sublime. I really recommend to use IntelliJ. It makes your life so much easier. But I'm pretty sure you can use Sublime or Visual Studio Code if you must. Yes, I will share some instructions how to install it. And on Eclipse, you have to Google that yourself, how to do that. Good question, Leon. Well, I think opinions differ. I think it's good to use an IDE because you will use it at your work as well. But it is also nice to use a Notepad instead. If you really want to go hardcore, use Notepad, nothing else. So here we see IntelliJ, and I'm going to show you how to make a new project. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to File, I'm going to say New, a project. And I'm going to make a very plain Java object. So you can see I have SDK 14, which you'll probably have too when you go ahead and download the latest one. I'm just going to pick Java over here, and I'm going to say next. And then actually I do want to use this one because it makes my life even easier. So I'm just going to use the command line template app. There we go. It's going to ask me some stuff. The project name, well, I'm going to call this week 0. Why 0? Well, in programming, we usually start counting from 0. So we might as well start here. And then I'm just going to pick this window. So there we go. So here is the project I just created. And in this project, we see some things already. So our very intelligent editor made some stuff for us, which is why Leon probably suggested not to do this. So someone is asking, what about the base package? Well, I'll tell about packages later, but what we'll see here is that I have 2 folders. One is called .ide, which has some config files for the editor. And the other one, this is where the Java is happening. This is called src, source. And here we have our source or code files. Then we see some sort of weird folder with a little hole in it here. I'll tell more about it later. And we actually have our class main that it has created for us. So if I open this class main, you see it here. There is some stuff in here already. On top, we see package nl.brightboost. Well, this is just the package I chose because it's common to use your own company, but then backwards with the URL. And it says package in front. So maybe if we just do some guessing, we can kind of guess that this is called a package. Actually, it's two. NL is one package and brightboost is a package. And here we see public class. So our file starts with a package statement saying in what package we are. And then we actually see public class main saying that this is a so-called class. And then here, and we'll have to get used to this, we'll see a curly bracket opening up. So opening, well, for me, it makes a lot of sense that it is opening because it has the open side pointing outwards. And then here, you see it's highlighted as well, it's closing the class. So the public class main is the name of the class, we write it with a capital. We have an opening curly bracket, we have some sort of code, and then we have a closing curly bracket. So this is all our class right now, this right here. Dina is just asking why there is no usual import function in it, because we're not using anything yet that we need to import. So this is why there is no import here. We'll see that later. We do see something here, but I'll tell a bit more about it in a second. Let's quickly go back to our PowerPoint. So that's IntelliJ. It's a very intelligent editor. And as some people are pointing out, that is a bit dangerous to start off with, because it might make you lazy to begin with. So don't rely on the editor blindly. Also use your own common sense and make sure that you know what you are doing. And if you want to make sure that you understand the syntax, you could also code in Notepad, but we're not going to do that. Well, at least I'm not going to cover that, but you might, or your subgroup might. So that's IntelliJ. We're going to install it. This is one of the first things we are going to do. The name of the base package doesn't really matter now. So we just saw this project folder, SRC, source, the source folder. And in there are actually a few things. There are packages in there. Well, we saw that. Those are the folder icon with the hole in it. And there are classes. And in these classes, there can actually be class members. Well, let's go first to the classes. What are classes? Does anyone know what a class is? I'm pretty sure some of you know that. It's a blueprint, someone says. Yes, that's a really good one. So a Java program, it usually consists of many classes. And classes represent objects. And these objects could be very concrete objects, like a car or a dog or an animal or stuff like that, but also more abstract, like it's some sort of data model. And so say we would have a class of a dog, then that dog would have the properties of an actual dog. So it would have a name, and it would have a certain height and a certain weight, all those sort of things. And it would also have some methods, methods like bark, methods like sit, those kind of methods, because these are methods that a dog has. These are called class members, these properties and methods. Methods are something that a dog could be doing. Properties are something that define the dog. Yes, instance member, someone says. Yes, we'll get there. So these class members, they say something about the dog. They either say something about what makes it a dog, like a color, height, weight, name. And it also says something about the actions a dog can undertake, the methods like sit, bark, etc. Someone is asking between the difference of a method and a function. Well, if you would ask me, there are synonyms. They're the same. Yes, and then I saw quite some people saying blueprint. Does this make sense that it's actually a blueprint? Because you are describing what makes up a dog, but it could be any sort of dog. It's just the blueprint of a dog. It's not a specific dog yet. So if you would be picturing some sort of dog, I don't know, a brown Labradoodle with those curly hairs and a certain weight and etc., we have an instance of a dog, so to say, because then we have a particular dog. But the outline of a dog is still the same. It's a blueprint. It's the same for a Labradoodle as it is for a Chihuahua. Does that make sense? See some people nodding. Yes. If it doesn't, please ask. And if you have some experience with Java, this feels very natural to you at some point, but in the beginning, this can be very hard to grasp. So don't worry if this is still a bit vague as well. You'll be reading a lot about it this week if this is not clear to you. So shall we make the set dog in our program right now? Don't worry too much about the syntax yet, because we'll cover the details about how fields look like next week, but it's more to have the overall picture right now. So I'm going to go back to IntelliJ. And here again, we see our project within there, the source folder with our package. And in our package, there's a class already, it's called main. And now I'm going to make another class and I'm gonna go for a dog class. Oh, I think we have our youngest participant over there, Dominique. So I'm gonna make a new class. I right-click the package and I said new class. And now I'm selecting, and now I'm typing dog here. And mind the capital D I'm using here. Classes always start with a capital, the name of a class. So here it is. It's in the same package as the main class we just saw. And in here, we have the public class dog. Oh, I actually just reinstalled IntelliJ. And by default, you cannot zoom. I don't know why, but I have to go to settings to enable zooming, so it will be a bit bigger. Editor, general. Yeah, so change font size with control mouse wheel. Yes, please. There we go. So now it's readable, I guess. I have some more questions. Why class name is always capital? Well, actually, there is a good reason for that, because when reading the code later, you can really easily see what is a class, what is a field, what is a method. Someone has asked me why the main function is outside the class in C++ and inside in Java. I honestly don't know. Maybe C++ doesn't have static. I have no clue. It is in the class in Java. That's something I do know for sure. So if I type 2 slashes, it means I'm going to make a comment. So the computer is going to ignore this. So I just said that a dog should have a name, and a dog should have a weight, and that a dog should have a color, and it should have some sort of actions, right? It should be able to bark, and hey, don't draw on my screen, please. And it should be able to sit. So here I have some sort of properties about the dog, and here I have some methods. Well, don't worry too much about how I'm writing this. And for the people that are a bit further already, I am on purpose not using the keyword private here. So name, it's usually a piece of text, and piece of text we call string in Java. Weight is usually a quite precise number, so I'm going to use a decimal here called double. And color, I'm going to use that as a text right now as well. Cool. So it's kind of funny because when I type name, you saw it get red underlined. Does anyone know why? You can type it in the chat if you know. Yes, I already used it because I had name up here. So here I should use some different words. So this is why I'm going to go for color. So if something's wrong, IntelliJ is going to red underline it. Then I said I also wanted some methods. Don't worry too much about the syntax. I'm just going to type it here and just going to do the same here as well. Difference between double and float. Double can hold a more precise number or a bigger number than float, because it has twice as many bits in the background. So I have a method called bark and I have a method called sit. And even without not really knowing the difference between perhaps a field or a property and a method, we can see some differences in syntax in the way it's written. Because these properties, they don't have any round brackets behind it. I'm going to see if I can get that green off my screen. Clear. So please don't draw on my screen. So what we can see is that this one has round brackets and it has curly brackets. This means for now that this is a method. So this way we can identify a method and distinguish it from an actual field. Yes, we will cover data types next week. Don't worry too much about void or public or private or things that are missing right now. It's just the rough basics for today. So this is a dog and it has a name, a weight, a color, and it can bark and sit. So this is a very simple dog. This is a fine blueprint of a dog, right? This could be anything. This could be the Chihuahua, it could be the Labradoodle, it's all fine. Any questions up to this point? Why function name contains parentheses? Well, it's a good question. This is actually because later we'll see that you can send things through a function. So some functions, they actually need input in order to perform. And well, these ones, they don't, because I want to stay simple. But later we'll actually see something specified between there. But even if you don't specify anything, you do need the parentheses. Let's make a dog. Let's go to our main method. It's here. And a main method is a very special method in Java. This is actually where the Java application starts. So when you're going to run a project, it's going to, well, actually have to specify where, in what class it is. And then it's going to start the method, it's going to start the applications from there. And here you can type anything. And what we usually start with, and what you will be starting with this week, is the so-called hello world statement. And we'll be just printing something to the console. Do you know what the console is? Sort of. You probably know how. The output, yes, exactly. So it's a bit like what you have on your Windows computer or on your MacBook or whatever you are using to do certain commands, but this one is specifically for Java. Yes, so don't worry about the syntax yet, we'll see it later. And right now I'm going to show you how to put something on the console. It's called system.out.println. And then here, if we put something in here and say, hi guys, then if I run this, sorry, let's show this. If I run this, I can run it like this. It is going to show hi guys below here. Look, it says hi guys. And Remco is asking, he's asking a good question. Why are you going to your main class and not in dog? Well, actually, because I wanted to create a dog here. But then I realized I didn't explain anything about the main method yet. So I had to go back a little. So, good point. Let's move back to our dog. So in order to create a dog, we have a blueprint now. So we created the blueprint of a dog, but actually we want to create a specific dog. So also called an instance. We're going to do that here. We're going to say dog, and we are going to call this D1. It's just a name. I could have called this anything. Could have called it dog. You often see this, or I could have called it dog Java. Anything would have been fine. I chose D1. Is new dog. And what Java is doing now, it's actually making a dog inside its memory. So it's freeing space up to make a dog object, or actually dog instance. So if this object here, there will be an instance of this object. So why is it interesting? Someone is asking, why does the compiler executes the main first? Well, because that's how Java was built. It's just a design decision. It's just a bunch of people who decided some stuff. Yes, there's two sorts of memory, and I'm not going to specify that now, but this is going to be inside the memory. So if I say D1 here, D1, and I hit a dot, I get some suggestions. And you see that I can say something about color, name, weight, or I can actually make the dog bark or sit. So let's make a dog. I want to give it a color, and it's going to be a black dog, like this. And I'm going to give it a name, and our dog is going to be called Java. And I'm going to give it a weight, and well, it's an average size dog, I guess, or maybe a bit big, I'm not sure. So here I gave D1 some properties. So first it didn't have color, name, and weight set to something sensible, and now I did actually make it quite a concrete dog. So what we could say D1 dot bark. And if I run this thing now, actually nothing else will happen. Actually, something else will happen, but we will not be able to see it. So let's have a look. It still only seems to say, hi guys, because we don't do anything with our dog yet. So let's first just print the name of our dog, just to prove that it's actually working. So I'm going to say system out print line D1 dot name, just like this. So just going to print Java. So it remembers what we did over there. Can you see it? Yes. Good. So let's change the dog a bit, because we did call the method bark, and actually you may wonder, why is this one yellow and this one gray? Anyone any clue? These were gray and they are purple now. Anyone any clue? Because it has been used, yes. So it's usually grayed out when it's not being used yet. So this is what you were seeing. So let's actually expand our method bark a bit, because it's empty now. Let's just do a print line in here too. So I'm going to say woof woof. But I'm going to add something, says, and then we are going to use the name of our dog. So I changed this to system out print line woof woof says name, and as you can see, it's corresponding with this name. So what will this line print now? Please think for yourself. I'm gonna get back to that in a second, Leon, to the question. It's a fun question. So it says now, woof woof says Java. Yes, thank you, Marek. That's the correct answer. So because we do something in our dog over here, we can actually say that, see that it's working. It knows it's Java and it's using it for the bark method. Why I'm using two classes and not just one? That is because I have the dog class here, and I don't want to have a main in a dog class. I want to have my main outside of the dog class. And I get some private questions that are way more in depth about the string args, for example. We will see this all later in the course, but today we will only be looking at classes, packages, and class members. That's all. Did I answer your question, Remco? The question, why are you using 2 classes, not just 1? Good. Suhas asked, is there a limit on how many objects can be instantiated from a class? I think that's very closely related to the limits of what your computer can handle. So there is not a set limit. Any other questions about this? Okay, wait, I'm getting some. So someone is asking, what is the difference between main and dog side? So I think the dog class and main class are the thing here. So this dog class, we just made it ourselves, and this is representing an actual dog. And this main class is more of some sort of helper class that is helping us to start the program. So later when we're going to do some actual coding for some sort of company, we won't be using a main class like this. This is actually something that you are more likely to find in the test files. But for now, we are using this in our main method because it's the easiest to kick off Java and to get some results to our screen. Let's see what other question I'm having. Why we are talking about the computer? Why or when? I'm not sure what you mean, Anas. Could you specify? So is it true that all methods have parentheses? Yes, all methods have parentheses. For the question refer to how many objects can we create? Yes, I think it really depends on the limits of what your computer can handle. So how much memory your computer has, for example. I don't think it's limited in the GVM. You can start it with different settings. So you can say, I start a Java program with so many of my memory, or only just this little of my memory. Good. I hear something. Someone did unmute him or herself. Okay, I'm gonna mute you all again. Yes. So it's nice to see you want to go this much in depth already. Please do that during this session because I'm afraid I'll confuse someone right now, and that's not my intention. So we have seen these classes, and we have seen quite some class members already as well right now. This actually means that it's gonna be your turn to do some more. So I see quite some people are having in-depth questions, like how is it with the heap memory? What are constructors? Why are the string args over here? Well, I'm not going to provide you with all these answers yet, but I will share some details blogs with you that will cover some of these topics. And it's always a bit of a, for me as a trainer, it's always hard because you don't want to confuse the people who are absolute beginners, but you also want to make sure that people who know a bit more are challenged. So I'm going to do my utmost best to have a good balance here, but it is difficult. So pretty much every week, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to watch the YouTube videos, work yourself to the additional study materials, and then do the coding homework. And I advise you to push your homework to some sort of GitHub repository. And I will also share a link of how to do that. Because if you push it to GitHub, you can easily share your code with your fellow students in the WhatsApp, Discord, Telegram room, etc. I'm getting some more private questions that I don't think that they are relevant for all of us yet. Daniela is asking, in what GitHub? I would make your own GitHub account and push it there if you can. If that's really a problem for you, then, well, I can make a repository on my GitHub too, but it's nicer if you have your own GitHub on which you are working already, because later, if you really want to go ahead and apply for some sort of job, your GitHub account is actually your portfolio. So you want to better start working on that today instead of tomorrow. Are there any other questions? Hansala says, I want to have the basics covered before you move on to another topic. Yeah, so you have a full week to dive into these basics yourself, and you can ask questions in the group. And I'm sure you'll get quite some answers, because we're very lucky to have some people in here who are a bit further already, and they can definitely help you. And someone is asking about this Java certification. I think it's still relevant, because this is why we actually decided to go for 8 instead of 11. So this Java certification that you can get still is OCA 8, and will actually cover all the topics you need in order to pass OCA 8. In this course, if you study well, you should be up for passing OCA 8, and I think it will help you if you're looking for your first job. I got my OSP 11 recently, and I'm pretty sure it won't help me anything. I just like doing that still, but at some point it just stops being really relevant. Let's see. It's not clear when I can see or find my homework. Well, you got the email, so you did get the link to the YouTube channel, and I will be posting to that every week, the videos, and underneath the videos there will be links to the exact pages you need to do, or actually I can also just put it under the video what your homework is. I think that's easier, I'll do that. So under the video you can just find all the links you'll need and the homework you'll have to do. Yes, so the exam, it can be online. You can take it online. It's from Oracle, but the exam is with Person View. That's an exam company, and they have proctored sessions for you. It is not a free exam. It's costing around $250, I guess. So you really want to study well before you take a shot at it. Someone asked if you can use Eclipse. Yes, you can use Eclipse, sure, but I'll be using IntelliJ. Oh, some people have scheduled it already. That's really cool. Do you guys have any other questions for me right now, or can we just call it a day or night, actually? STS is that Spring Tool Suite, I guess. Also fine. It's just some sort of spin-off of Eclipse. It's all fine. You can make your own Eclipse. It's open source. So if you dislike it, just go ahead and download the Eclipse open source and just modify it. What framework do you use with Java? Well, you can use, well, the most common one is Spring, I guess. But we also not cover that in this course, unfortunately. But it's really something I would advise you to look into for enterprise life. Okay, so I'm going to end this session. If you have any questions left, please put them in the WhatsApp group or on a YouTube video or wherever you guys are hanging out. But as I said, I will only be in the WhatsApp group and on YouTube. Yes, thank you all for being here at all the different times it is in your place. And I hope to see you all back next week. And this will take a little while for uploading, but as soon as it's available, I'll put it on YouTube. All right, bye guys.